All right. Are we live? This is a question that I have to ask apparently. Can I get a 3 in chat if you can hear me? All right, cool. Little more latency than is ideal, I think, but hopefully that's okay. Welcome everyone. We'll give it a couple more minutes, I guess, or wait until Grant's stream is done. I'm unsure when he will. Well, it is a couple minutes before the start time, obviously. So I guess we're waiting on Grant to be done. Why is this? No. All right. So, you know, insert generic greeting. How is everyone today? Are you guys able to hear the music in the background? Actually, wait, this is muted, actually. So... Alright. How about now-ish? Alright, cool. Alright. Let me see how I can get this set up real quick. Alright, so I believe Orca is now a moderator. I'm unsure of what the other moderators' names are or if they're stopping by, so I guess Orca's our mod for today / right now. Let's see. So I believe there's a way to run polls on YouTube. I think that would be nice to do, but I am slightly less familiar with YouTube than I am with Twitch. Dude, I don't have a Strawful account. What do you mean? Alright, I'm not going making that right now. Y'all are gonna have to tell me when Grant's stream is ending, because I don't have it open at the moment. All right. Bull, big bull. All right, so I guess I'll switch to that whenever I have to do things. All right, so this is, you all can see the white screen editor and all that. I don't know why I'm asking. I have this open on the iPad, so yes, you are able to see that. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let me see if I am able to... Alright, so I have to see it from there, I think. That's really irritating. Alright. So. Yeah, the BRB screen is probably going to be my default. Let's see. In that pool, I suppose. So, are you able to... Alright, so chat seems to be on screen occasionally. Alright, big pogs, stream is ending. Alright, we get some carrier has arrived. Are people here? I believe people are here. Hello everyone from Grant Streams. I have a pull up. I just want to kind of get numbers, I suppose. I don't think I'm going to do anything with these numbers if they do anything. Stream is ending. I'm referring to Grant Stream. Alright, the 9% of us are here because they're interested, alright? I have not played UD First Light. Orca, you blundered. Alright, you're getting unmodded? Alright, let's see. If I do this, let me see if I can make Mr. K a mod or something. Alright, well, I guess I don't want to dwell on here too long now that Grant's finished streaming. So, let's go ahead and do one more poll. Just this one is actually somewhat helpful. Alright, so maybe about a third of us? Is it normal for the editor to take 5 years to open? Kind of. Sometimes it takes a while. Alright, so about a third of people have no opening the editor. So I'm not going to tell you how to open the editor. You can, it's like on the left when you open up Battle.net, alright? But let's go ahead and start doing things. Very beginning, might as well just start how to make a new thing. So I'm going to go ahead and make a test map. It'll just be easy for us to do stuff in. Top left, new document. We're going to make an arcade map. We'll go ahead and use the balance test mod, balance multi. So we'll start with multiplayer units. I will probably open up another window so we can do some campaign stuff. We'll go ahead and use default bell shear because that's what for some reason the default is. So we'll do that. Alright, so people are scared of triggers and data, as makes sense. Because, you know, you have very intimidating numbers of things. Look at all these beautiful actions that you will not learn to use from me, but you will figure it out on yourself because there's way too many. Alright. So, actually, I'll run one more poll if, actually, I'm actually not able to do that from this device, huh? Alright. So, let's see, just from people in chat, how many of you guys would prefer to see custom units like thing, just modifying units, making new units, making changes to abilities and whatnot, and how many of you would like to see things like map editing, like trigger work, AIs, making events happen when you move places, when units die, that kind of thing. Trigger or data? Yeah, alright, well alright, no, that's fine. We'll go ahead and start with trigger work just so I can get like a testing up, so that way we can test the things that we do in data. How about that? That makes some sense. Alright. So, I'm in terrain view right now. This is what anyone who's opened the editor enters into, basically. I'm just going to go ahead and make some stuff that I can mine from, and we'll make a command center that I own so we can test. So what I'm doing here is pretty standard stuff, just putting down units from this left bar. I'm able to select who owns them by clicking that drop down. I default to player 1 because that's how that works. We'll have some enemy stuff over there. It's not going to do anything because we have programmed AI, but that's fine. Okay, so this is pretty simple to just whack down minerals and units and stuff. This is probably not what you're here for. What you're here for is trigger stuff. So, very first thing I'm going to do is explain what a trigger is. On the left side here, or at least the way I have it set up, this is the way my preferences are. You can change them up here, I believe, if the screen looks a little bit different for you. So, on the left here, we'll have a list of triggers. This is the only trigger so far. Triggers have three things really. You have events. This is what causes the trigger. So this trigger will activate when the map starts. You have conditions that, if you know programming, this will all be very familiar to you. Conditions just make it so if this event fires, but the conditions aren't met, then the trigger won't do anything. So you could have, like, if a unit dies and condition the unit is Jim Raynor, then actions. And actions are what basically all this trigger does, and you'd have like defeat or something if you're thinking about Liberation Day. So let's actually start messing around. The first thing I'd recommend you do if you're learning the editor is to modify stuff. Just mess around with things. I recommend you open a map from campaign if you're thinking about campaign stuff. You'll be pretty intimidated because there'll be like 90 things over here, but you'll find your way around it. I have faith. Let's actually start modifying things. So set melee resources for all players. Normally you start with 50 minerals in campaign. Let's go ahead and change that. So I'm double clicking this to change it. I will probably come out with a list of very common things that common actions that you would probably want to use. Let's go ahead and do modify player property. So we can give myself 5,000 minerals and 5,000 gas. So that I actually have stuff that, you know, I can mess around with stuff. Let me go ahead and refresh my chat, see if people... if you're confused, you can ask questions. I can't guarantee I'll be able to see them, but, you know, maybe if I look down and happen to see your question, I can answer it. So we have, right now, we have this trigger, which goes ahead and just gives us more money when we start the game. I'm going to go ahead and make a new trigger. We're going to program basically instant build. So on this left, I'm going to do a new trigger. So if I want to do instant build, I'm going to go ahead and make it so whenever a training unit starts training, I'm going to immediately complete that process. I'm going to skip the training time. So unit training progress in the events. So when any unit training progress is completed, down here I'm able to modify some of these things. So any unit training progress is started, this trigger will fire. And what do we want it to do? We want it to complete that. So, progress, I believe? Yes, set unit progress. So, at the very bottom here, and also whenever you open up an action, you'll get a little bit of stuff down here, usually, that will tell you how to refer to things. We can see here that we can do triggering unit to get the unit that is doing the training. So, if we think of like a barracks making a marine, triggering unit will refer to that barracks. So with this, any unit that starts training, we're going to set that progress to 100%, and then that will instantly build it. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, but for construction. And construction is different from training in that it's a different ability, honestly. If it's a unit that is building from... Like, if you have an SCV, obviously making a unit, the barracks under construction is on the map, and it can't do anything until it's fully built. Similar thing for like warp-in, and, you know, morphing the structures. So let's do unit construction progress. We'll do the same thing. It started. But something to note here is that we want to do unit triggering progress unit. Wherever it is. There we go. Triggering progress unit to get the unit that is under construction. I can see that people... chat is suspiciously empty apart from Orca and very few other people, it seems. But, alright, no, that's fine. Let's go ahead and find triggering progress unit. That's the one we want. Alright, okay, so it's testing. So people are just here, just lurking. No problem, no problem. Okay, so when we think about triggers, it's mostly this kind of block building. If you're a madman and you can parse things that are in, you know, written, you can type stuff in manually via XML data. I can kind of do that, but I really prefer to stick with this kind of view because I understand. Alright. So, let's go ahead and test this out. Make sure the things we did apply. So, when we load this up, we do test document is in the top right of the editor, by the way. You can test pretty much at any time. Like we expected, we have 5,000 minerals, 5,000 gas. And our units build instantly. Ooh, our depots do not build instantly. That might be a problem on my end. We can troubleshoot later if I don't understand stuff. I want to kind of breeze through these things a little bit quicker. But right now we have units that build instantly, which is really nice, and it's nice enough that we can actually start working on data stuff. Alright. Oh, it is worth noting that we are using multiplayer balance, so you know, we have Reapers that don't have structure grenades, but they have the bouncy grenades. So keep that in mind when you want to suggest things. Let's pause that. Alright. Let's see. I do compare working with triggers oddly similar to working with something like Scratch. It's just a, you know, block building essentially. You put things together and they do kind of work. This is really lags. This lags a lot more when I'm recording, I suppose, than normally. Let's see. How do you turn off the ambient noise in the editor? I don't know, man. I just ignore it. If you want to write in Galaxy Script, I am not that person to talk to. I know very little about writing in Galaxy Script. Alright, so we do have some way of testing. Let me go ahead and make some depots here, and then we can jump into data editor. Give me things you would like to see me do. I think I'll stick with some simplistic stuff, but like things like unit status, unit stats, I suppose. You can start with something simple like that. Something like behavior changes. This won't make sense if you know the editor, but I'm gonna walk you through some things. We could do abilities. Abilities are a path that could go down. Let's see. Alright. So let me just first open the data editor. Let me see if my things are here. Okay, they are. So if you click data on the top right, you'll get this, which is the data editor, which a lot of people are scared of. It's very similar to triggers because this contains all of the data, everything ever. So finding what you want to manipulate is very intimidating. The music playing right now is from A Hat in Time, by the way. Great soundtrack. Absolute banger. 99% of the songs are. Alright. So someone wanted to have a behavior that is researchable. I believe, or triggered by an upgrade. So let's first understand what those are. A behavior is, you can think of it kind of like a damage over time. This is an effect that you have on a unit, and various things will happen to that unit. You can have a behavior that slows it down. Concussive shells is a behavior. You can have it take damage over time. Fungal growth and Psystorm are behaviors. You can think of basically anything that applies to a unit and something will happen to that unit. It's not necessarily direct damage. You can have things like Revelation can reveal it for units and whatnot. So that's what behaviors are. Let's go ahead and find something like stim pack. So this is what stim pack is inside the data editor. The only fields on the right side here. Okay, let me start with what each section of this place is. Top left, you have what your selection is. You can see Marauder and Marine stim pack over here. That's what I'm looking at. Down in the middle left here, I have what other things that are similar, or not similar, connected to this behavior. So we can have the thing that applies it, for example. This apply buff is applying stim pack. So when you use the stim ability, this triggers and it applies stim to your unit. On the right here is all the stuff you can change about that. So with stim pack, you can see it gives attack speed multiplier 1.5 and move speed multiplier 1.5. There's a lot of stuff you can change about units through behaviors. Real quick, when you want to change something, you can just double click it. This menu will pop up, or if you're using a different editor layout, this is just what you'll see on the right side. That's fine. So let me just real quick, let's go ahead and change stim pack to do double attack speed too, just because we can. All right, and someone did ask for how are you able to do upgrades that apply behaviors, basically. I have an upgrades tab here. This green plus is, by the way, is how you open all these tabs. I believe when you first open the editor, you'll have nothing over here, or maybe just units. So I have upgrades over here. Upgrades, I think, are one of the more simpler things to start with. Let me just go ahead and add an upgrade. Let's do stim improvement. So we have a new upgrade here. Yeah, it doesn't do anything yet, so we can go ahead and change that. Under effects here, you can double click. We can add things for this upgrade to do. And basically what the upgrades can affect are most things that are under here. We know stim is a behavior, so we want to change that behavior. Stim is under marine stim. Whoops. Marine stim pack. So we made our, we already made stim do ×2 attack speed instead of times 1.5, and that's shown here. This is basically what the default is. Let's see. Scrolling through here, probably not ideal. So let's go ahead and, oh, here's the movement speed. So let's go ahead and have this upgrade that increases the multiplier from 1.5 to 2. It adds 0.5 to this multiplier. So when we apply stim and we have this upgrade, it'll be more move speed. So as far as upgrades are concerned, that's kind of it. We can, we don't have a way of getting this upgrade because there's no way to research it right now, but if you were to have this upgrade, it would just work, and your Marines would move faster while they're stimmed. I will go ahead and jump to the trigger editor so I can give myself this upgrade. But right now I want to do another upgrade. So there's no real classification here. I mean, I guess I could rename this as something else, but there are a couple types of upgrades. Generally, one upgrade you'll think of are things that modify existing things. So, Blue Flame modifies existing Hellion weapon to make it do more damage versus light. Extended Thermal Lance gives +2 range to the existing Colossus weapon. Stuff like that. Another research is things like spell research. These are basically requirements. So when you have this upgrade, you are able to do other things. So let's go ahead and show that off. So this is in modifying existing one. Let's go ahead and make a new one, which is permastim. Or actually, let's do, it wouldn't be permastim. It would be spawn stim. That's probably the most accurate way to describe it. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to make it so when you research the spawn stim upgrade, it will make it so all of your Marines start with stim, basically. They'll have the effects of stim. They'll basically get a free stim pack whenever they spawn. And it will probably not cost anything. It will probably just wear off after 15 seconds. I believe that's how it would actually do. So, as far as upgrades, we don't need to do anything here. What we want is a requirement. Let me see where requirements are. So requirements, they look at a bunch of things. What I usually use them for is, do I have an upgrade? If I have an upgrade, then the requirement will return true, and then we can do things with that. Let's go ahead and make a new requirement. Have spawn stim. I mean, obviously you want to capitalize these things normally, but over here on the requirement thing, we can see it's split into two parts. I'm going to go ahead and do use for right now. Show is very similar to use, but it makes it so if you do not have the requirement, it will not show on the command card. So think of something like stim. If you do not have it researched, it will say requires research stim from a tech lab. But this requirement is also from if we want to use show requirement, it can also be things like the research stim ability. In order to research stim, what needs to happen? You have to not have stim already. And that's what the show thing is. Once you have stim and starting to research, then you cannot research stim again. So that's what you would use show for. So let's go ahead and do use. We'll do count upgrade. So if you have spawn stim completed, then this requirement will return true. Let's go ahead and go to stim pack. Now, this is going to mess up stim a little bit, but let's go ahead and do have spawn stim. So basically, if we were to test this right now and we were to try to stim our Marines, nothing would happen. They'd take 10 health and they would not get an effect because I just made it so you have the spawn stim upgrade in order for stim pack to do anything. But it does offer some interesting things. If we go to the units tab, let's go ahead and give Marine our new ability. And by new ability, I mean we give it stim. Okay. So what I just did is I went to the units tab. All of these can be basically any unit in the game. And each unit has their own abilities, their command card. This unit tab is pretty intuitive. You can see a lot of things. You can see the cargo size. If I wanted Marines to take 8 slots in a transport, I can do that. If I wanted to make them have more health, I can do that. So now our Marines will have 60 health. because I can. Stuff like that. Alright, so right now what I did in this trigger editor, let me just review. So I created an upgrade called spawn stem. This spawn stem, when we research it, it will activate this requirement node that says that we have researched it. Once that requirement is true, then the stim pack effect is able to be applied to our units. And we go to our marine. We gave our marine the stim pack ability, or stim pack behavior, as soon as it spawns. So what will happen is when we research our spawn stem ability, spawn stem upgrade, then our marines will have stim as soon as they walk out the gate. They'll have their double attack speed, double move speed. Or 1.5, I suppose. But all of this requires that we have the spawn stem upgrade, which we don't. I'm going to go ahead and add it via triggers because it's a little bit faster. I'm going to go into our trigger menu, we got our action, so at the start of the game, we'll go ahead and set our spawn stem upgrade to level 1 for player 1. This is how all of the AIs get their upgrades in campaign. Every AI in the campaign will get their upgrade via triggers. Things like this. They'll get +1 weapons and +1 armor and +1 air weapons, +1 air armor, and then you'll have it wait a little while, and then you'll get +2 weapons and stuff like that. This is how all of the upgrades in campaign work. So if you wanted to adjust it, this is what you'll become familiar with. But right now we have this giving us our spawn stem upgrade as soon as we enter the map. Let's go ahead and test, make sure that works. Alright, and just like that, our marines have stim as soon as they walk out. Now, stim has a 15-second duration, so 15 seconds after these guys have walked out, stim will go away. There we go. But to the person who requested how to have upgrades that apply a behavior, there you go. Let me see what else we can have. Alright, someone's requesting how I can have a research. I guess we can just do that real quick. So let's say you didn't want to give it via triggers. Let's say this is reduced to atoms. Actually, we can do the speed upgrade. So we did improve stim, right? Stim improvement. So let's go ahead and say, what if we wanted our barracks tech labs to be able to research this? And to clarify, and to remind, stim improvement makes our marines move faster while stimmed. So I will go ahead and go to the abilities tab, which is where every ability is. I'm going to go to the tech lab research. And you can see there's split from software factory barracks. Let's go ahead and go to the barracks. Under info tab, you'll find all of the researches that this tech lab can do. Let's go ahead and add another one. It'll want us to do a default button. This doesn't really matter, but we will need a button eventually. Let's go ahead and just do meta boost because that makes things a little bit clearer. Yeah, so this doesn't really do anything. Just make sure you have it here because this is what will make your life easier if you want to make your own buttons. That makes sense. Alright. Requirements none. We don't want to have any requirements. Alright, let's say we wanted our research to cost 50-50. Sure. And we wanted it to take 15 seconds. And we want it to research our stim improvement. Okay, so now this tech lab ability, it will give any unit that we give this tech lab research ability will have this new research. It will be able to get stim improvement. However, we need a spot on the command card in order to do that. So let's go ahead and go to the tech lab barracks. And you can see that it has the tech lab research barracks, which we need. Open up command card. This is what you'll see. Let's go do meta boost just to be consistent. So, let me see, how do I want to explain this? This is a command card, you'll be familiar with it. There are very different things you can do. If we wanted to have a passive ability that shows up on the command card, you would just do passive and it will just be there. It won't do anything because we want behaviors to do that. But we want the ability command to Tech Lab Research. And under Tech Lab Research, we want to find our improved stim pack, which remember we had under Meta Boost, so that is what we have to click. Let's go ahead and test that. So if we did our things right, we will be able to build some tech labs. We will be able to research our stim improvement, and it will make it so our Marines will run a little faster when stimmed. Skulls ends, yes, you can have negative cost. You can have negative energy, so using the spell will give you energy. You can have it negative health. It will give you health when you use abilities. Alright, so our Marines, they have plus 0.57 when they're stimmed normally. Here we can have our meta boost. Oh, I typed that in wrong, but that's fine. Remember, plus 1.57 as soon as our research finishes. Boom, now it's double speed, plus 3.15. So that is how you have it research from, that is how you have a research from the regular thing. How you would normally research things in the game. You would need to add a requirement to the research meta boost that makes it so it won't show, or it won't show if you already have it researching, which we didn't do, so that means this will stay here forever. And it'll just cost money, but it's fine. Let's see. What other things would you all like to see? Under the show tab, you would do not show if it is queued or better. That means once it's in the queue, it will disappear. So things like if I queue up combat shield, it disappears from the command card. Queue up stim, it disappears from the command card. That is what you would apply. Let's see, Storm AoE, that's a pretty simple one. Let's go ahead and show that off. Alright, so we get to dive into the fun area, that is the effects tab, which is probably the biggest tab in the data editor. This is there's a lot here, but we want stim, we want storm. So let's go ahead and search for size storm. There are a million types of effects, but what we want to do is we want to increase the size of storm's area. So let's go ahead and find our area, search area of size storm. We can change the size of it. So right now it is a circle of radius 1.5. We can change that to a radius of 2. And just like that, our storms will have more radius when we cast them. I'm not going to implement unit veterancy because frankly I don't understand it. And I don't care to because I don't like unit veterancy. I could probably fudge it with triggers, but let's see. There were a lot I skipped over, I'm sure, when I wasn't reading. Okay, so... Oh yeah, Orca knows veteran C because he messed with it during Hot's real scale, I believe. He probably knows it from other places that, but he will know how to do it better than I do. How to create multiple cargoes. I haven't actually tried that. I assume it's just as simple as having cargo, right? Let's do... You know, you can have metafac load unloadability. You can couple that with, you know, like a command center load unloadability, and then it will have 2 cargo holds, I assume. Don't quote me on that. I haven't actually tried it, so I can't confirm if that would work. Orca did like Ultralisk Overlord shenanigans, right? It's like I don't know if that is. Orca says no, don't do that, so don't do that, apparently. Let's go ahead. Someone says garrisonable hydralisks. That's a pretty easy thing. We want our hydralisks to go into our bunkers, so let's go ahead and search for a bunker load ability. Let's see. There we go. Load validators requires Terran. This, if anyone asks you, oh, you could just load Quilgore and Hydralisks into a bunker, tell them you need to remove this, because otherwise it will require Terran units. There. Alright. I believe that just works. There we go. Garrisonable Hydralisks. Bada bing, bada boom. If you're logged in, you're able to open, let's see, I might regret that because that'll open things. So, you are able to open Wings of Liberty maps just by opening the editor, but you'll have to sign in if you want to open, like, HOTS and Legacy of the Void. If you want info on Nova Covert Ops, it's not actually in the editor, you'll have to get it from, like, I'm sure someone at SC2 Mapster has it. I got it from Synergy. Don't ask Synergy, don't tell them I sent you, because that's dumb, and I don't want Synergy to have to deal with a bunch of people asking him how to get Nova Covert Ops. But I should probably know that you're able to find some places that will let you download Nova Covert Ops maps so you can mess around with them. Unit size is a number, sure. Let's say we wanted our bunker. Actually, no, bunker's a bad idea. Let's go ahead and go to a Marauder. Actually, a Reaper, since we don't have to build tech labs. Let's say we wanted our Reaper to be bigger. We find the Reaper in the Units tab. If we want to change their hitbox, you can look up radius, and these are the space it takes up. Let's say I wanted our Reapers to be really, 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 really fat. These are just hitbox. It won't change the visual of the unit. In order to do that, we need to change the Reaper's model or actor. This is what this left section of the editor is really helpful for. I can just click on Reaper, the actor, from here, and I can change its scale to really, 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 really fat. And our Reapers are really, 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 really fat. We did it. All right. Cool. People are asking about dependencies. Okay, so dependencies are basically the initial data. Right now I'm working with the balance dependencies, so my defaults are to the multiplayer versions of the units. So if we go to like Colossus, we can see that they have their thermal lances have 7 range instead of like 6 range like it was in Wings or in Campaign. So you're able to pick dependencies when you open your map, and you're able to add new ones. I would not recommend, I don't believe you're able to remove them. And not all dependencies are good for some, like, for example, if you add this one, it will make you die. So don't add that unless you're doing Legacy of the Void stuff. And Orca will also yell at you, probably. So, you can make your own dependency, basically. This is how I did Nightmare. I did all these changes in here, like I decreased the fire bats, attack delay, I changed the Wraith's cost, I did all of that to a mod map, which you can do here, make a dependency mod. I did all those changes in here, and I basically went on every campaign mission, and I added my mod as a dependency. You'll have to do add other here, which will open your mods folder, and you get to add your dependency mods to that. So that is how I got things like all of my Nightmare changes to apply to every map and campaign. I had to go through each map and add my dependency there. How did I add the Tal'Darim? Same thing in dependencies. You can add the Void campaign. This one has the units and stuff. This will add your Tal'Darim units and whatnot. This Void story one is meant for like the Spear of Doom stuff, and it will change things that you don't want changed, and you don't want to add that basically. But Void campaign is fine. This is how you get like spin lots in Wings of Liberty and stuff like that. But you will have to note that this will add the unit data, but you need to do a bunch of work in the background in order to make it so I build regular. Like I can't build regular zealots. I can only build spin lots, or I have the ability to make vanguards and stuff. All of that is normally handled inside the maps, like on. If you play Legacy of the Void campaign, you'll normally be able to add that. All of that is built into the maps. So you will have to re-add that manually if you want to mess around with this. How do you fix balance changes between the campaigns? I go through manually and do it. I go to the Bane thing and say make it do less damage. I go to the Colossus and say make it do bonus versus light instead of flat damage. I apologize that my nose is a little bit sniffly. Hopefully it's not too terrible. Yeah, it is a lot of work to resolve dependencies. If you use the dependencies, like exclamation mark dependencies command in Grant's chat, that is why it says do not use co-op. Because if you want to use co-op, you would use this, except everything breaks when you use this, so continue at your own risk, I suppose. Let's see. People are asking about AI and triggers now. I suppose I can deal with that. Let's see. Let me go to the BRB screen right now while I open this up and potentially expose myself. Let me go ahead and go to... Let's do 0 hour. I think 0 hour is fine. I'm waiting for it to load. So, someone's asking how to make attack waves send more units. If you know where to look inside the trigger editor, it's as easy as editing numbers. So, let's see. Open this back up. Stop. Alright. So, we're back in the trigger editor. You can see there's a bunch of folders over here, and each of these folders has a billion different things because triggers do a lot. So there's a lot of triggers. So we're on 0 hour. Load up the terrain for 0 hour just so I can show you. Alright, yeah, so this is 0 hour. You all know it and love it. Let's say we wanted to make the attack waves bigger. Inside the triggers, we'll go ahead and go into gameplay and AI. Attack waves for, let's say, red. And you can just change numbers here. These correspond to casual, normal, hard, and brutal. So if we wanted this attack wave to have 30 Zerglings on brutal, it now has 30 Zerglings on brutal. It is kind of just that simple. If you're editing existing maps, it's a little bit more work if you want to make your own attack waves and add new attack waves. But one of the ways that I learned how to use the trigger editor is just load up a map like 0 hour and look at what it does and copy paste things, and it will just that is how I learned how to use the editor. Just experiment. So these are all the attack wave timings for 0 hour, by the way, from this player, which is red, which is the right side. If we wanted to think about the left side attack waves, then we can do that. You can change these ones. Let's see, if we wanted to remove the camera steal. Camera steals are usually in various different spots. You can't reliably find where they are unless you do Control F. Control F opens up this, which is really helpful. Let's see. How is this worded? Let me see. There we go. This is the camera steal that we all hate. So if you remove this, then it will no longer steal. I should note that because I have Nightmare in the CCM, this is the Nightmare version of 0 hour. So you can see my Nightmare mod stuff is up there. Teal drops is on here because this is the trigger I use to send overlords at you. Let's see. So someone's saying it's like you throw darts until it works. Kind of, but it's easier than you would think. Just mess around and make fun stuff is what I suggest. You'd be surprised how quickly you just learn how to do things like change attack waves. Because despite there being a lot of tools here, each individual tool is not that complex until you get to the very, very complex stuff. But I was able to make Nightmare and Real Scale with very, very minimal stuff about those advanced techniques. Yeah, Control Z, Control Y, you know. Pretty standard stuff. Use those a lot. Is Nightmare mod just a dependency mod? I created it as a dependency mod, yes. So what I did for Nightmare, you can do new, file, dependent mod. I recommend that you set this to whatever campaign you're working on. So I did this for Nightmare. Well, I also added Void Story, but if you do this, then you'll have Legacy of the Void units, like you'll have like Cyclones and Liberators, and you'll have Tal'Darim units and whatnot, which you can mess around with. Actually, let me just go ahead and do that now. Well, actually, this will be a dependency mod, not a map. So I should probably not open up too many stuff because that'll probably lag my computer dead. So if you wanted to create a dependency mod, obviously there's no map because dependency mods are they only be added to other maps. So if you wanted a trigger to apply on all of your maps, you can do that here. You would have to create a library first, but that's fine. You just do create library, and then from there you can make your triggers and folders and whatever. Let's say I wanted to... Actually, let's do a unit training one, because we went over that already. Let's say whenever we want any unit to... When it's... Actually, let's just do our speed build, because speed build is easy. Alright. Oh no, this is still a triggering unit. Alright, so let's say we wanted to apply this to every map, our speed build thing. We've created it in our dependency mod, so we can just go ahead and save it. And then if we can go to our maps. Pretend I saved it. I don't want to show my folders that have all my mods in them. But pretend we saved it. We could go to our map that we want to do. You would go through each map inside the campaign. So we're back on the 0 hour. You would do dependencies. You would add other. And then you could just put your mod in there. And then there, you'll have speed build on all the missions. Do you have to consider hardware? Probably. Like you can very quickly make things that completely lag out the game. Like, you know, you can spawn 2,000 units with a click of a button, which is not great. You can be like me and accidentally leave a loop that doesn't have a delay in it. But if you know what you're doing, you don't have to worry about. Well, let's see. If you save often and test often, you will know when something breaks, and you will know what section needs to be fixed. But yes, it is very easy to break the editor if you don't think about it, if you mindlessly slap down too much stuff. Yes, too many cows. Very much like that. I will note that the thing that usually makes the editor die is pathing. Or StarCraft 2 in general is pathing. If you have too many things that are moving and calculating pathfinding, that is how you destroy frame rates. Let me see. Oh, yes, it would be speed build for every player because we didn't specify who is building the units. So any player who wants to make anything would have speed build. Let's see. do you guys want to learn how to do just basic attack wave stuff? Because I know that it took me a while to learn how to do basic attack wave things. As in, like, making your own attack waves. You don't, like, this wouldn't apply to maps because you can just copy paste over the same logic and it would just work. Alright, let's go to our blank map that has just our enemy what? Okay. You don't have to do that much to get a functioning attack wave. Let me go ahead and move this over here. We'll give player 2 some... Actually, you know what? We'll just give player 2 some money. So, player 2 minerals are 5,000, and also player 2 gas is 5,000. So we want to use campaign style AI. So start campaign AI for player 2. I actually don't know if I need to do player properties, so I'll just do that real quick. In top left, you can go map player properties. This is how you make it so like you can have multiple players. We'll set player 2 to be a computer. This is also how you change colors and stuff, so you can force player 2 to be red and player 1 to be blue, like his usual campaign. Okay. Let's make a new trigger for AI attacks. And let's say we wanted it to come after this. I don't actually know if this is necessary, but we'll do it just in case. Run trigger is how you run multiple triggers from like one thing. So I can have it so when this is done, it will start another trigger. So after this map is initialized and after the campaign has been started for player 2, it will run AI attacks. If you run trigger like this, you kind of bypass the events. But you can have it check whether there's conditions or not. So I believe attack wave for hold on, target player for attack wave, isn't it? Yeah. So this action basically tells player 2 to send its attack waves at player 1. You can also have this be like a combination of players. So let's say you had your like co-op, you could have it send attack waves to, actually this might not default to anything. Yeah, you can have it set to enemies of player 2 or something like that. So it'll attack multiple people. But for now, this is just this. We can leave it as their default because we want player 2 to attack player 1. I believe you just add units and it just works. I think that's everything you need. So add attack wave unit types, Liberty because it'll give us 4. You'll recognize this from 0 hour. Let's say we wanted our AI to send 3 Marines at us, regardless of difficulty. So we do that, and we also have to tell them when to send the attack wave. So we will try to send an attack wave in, sure, 2 minutes. You can build enough Marines in a minute. So this is it. I believe if we just test, the AI will try to build, it will build 3 Marines, and at the 60-second mark, those Marines will begin to attack us. Alright, you see speed build probably. Alright, yeah, our AI built the 3 Marines. Remember that we had its speed build on, so these Marines will sit there, and then once the 1 minute mark comes, or maybe right before it, because it will arrive at the 1 minute mark, a little bit before 1 minute, those Marines will begin to attack us. Something you want to make sure is that your AIs have the money and the tech required to build the units you send for the attack waves. Alright, take those SCVs. Oh. That was about a minute. So if you wanted to add waypoints, those are pretty simple to do. Okay, let's say we move these guys over a little bit farther away. Let's say we wanted their attack waves to start here at point number 1, and we wanted them to go like down here before they want to attack us. You would go to the terrain tab, like I have here. I'm using points, this points tab. Simply add points. I recommend you name them and press F2 to open up the rename thing, and you can just say, I want this to be spawn P2, I don't know, and this to be waypoint P2. And then you can go into the trigger editor, and then you can tell them, I want this attack wave waypoint. We do for player 2 because we want their attack wave. We want their attack wave to go to waypoint 2 when they attack. Let me also real quick set up a gather location so we can reliably tell them where they wanted their attack waves to gather. And we'll set this to the other point that I had. Alright. Yes, it will wait for, it will rally to the waypoints, it will do everything that makes sense to, you know, keep the attack wave cohesive. So, we go and send an SCV scout. I could do a map reveal, which probably would make more sense, but. Alright, so their attack wave is gathered up here. Maybe at about 40-ish seconds, we'll see them come down to the bottom of the map to where I put their waypoint. And then from there, they'll attack towards the nearest unit that I have. I think it tries to look for structures, but I think it does end up looking for structures. There we go. Those Marines came down, and now they're attacking us at about the 1 minute mark. A little bit before because they're set to arrive at 1 minute, but. There you go. And the AI does micro because I have it set to brutal, but by default in the editor settings. Which normally it was normal, so they won't micro like that, but you can change that. Here, you can do file, you can do preferences, and then you can do other stuff from here. Test document, game difficulty hard. Yeah, so it defaults to hard, I think, on melee maps, but if I were to have it on a campaign map, it would default to brutal. Is how I have that set up. Alright, yeah, I agree with photo loss. If you want to do anything in actor events, then you have regrets. So actors are every animation, basically. Every animation of every unit, every visual effect, every sound, everything, basically. They don't usually, I don't think they affect gameplay, but it's a whole mess if you have something just the Marine that moves and shoots and uses stim pack. This is the kind of stuff you have to deal with. Freeze, what do you mean by just the shooting animation? I don't think you can transfer, so every model, like the Marine model, has a set of animations, and this actor says, play the attack animation, play the dying animation, stuff like that. If you were to swap it to the Marauder model, I don't think you'd be able to transfer them around unless you do a whole lot of garbage. Let's see. I prefer not to deal with the Marine, deal with actors, because I don't entirely understand them, but I know my way around them enough to modify stuff, but not to say, oh, this is just how you do that. Alright, let me see. What else would you guys like to see? Give me more suggestions and whatnot. Can you put units from other dependencies into a custom dependency? I don't entirely understand what you're like. You can build a dependency based on any number of other dependencies. So you will get the units from that. Like if I were to add Legacy of the Void campaign to our dependency mod like I had in here, yes, I would be able to have other dependency units in there. If you want to transfer a unit that without its dependency, you will have to copy paste everything here, basically, almost everything here, manually, Control-C, Control-V into your other dependency, which is kind of the best way to do it sometimes, which is not fun. I do not actually know how to have units stapled onto, like a Vanguard stapled to an APC. I don't understand how Orca did it. Frankly, I'm not entirely convinced he understands how he did it. It's kind of more not fun than it is. There are better modders out there than I am who can do that, and I fully admit that I cannot do that. Alright. Interactions with campaign level stuff. Yeah, let me just quickly go over that because it's actually not entirely too bad sometimes. So, okay. So, yeah. So you will be making a dependency mod. I do recommend you do that. If you're making some custom campaign stuff, you want to change up the abilities in the armory, let's say. You'll go to the data editor, and you will find conversation states. There are a handful of things here: army units, army upgrades, conversation states, and maps. You might the campaign stuff isn't all neatly in one place. So for Wings of Liberty, it's all under conversation states. So let's say you wanted to change up armory upgrades. Armory is in technology. Here you can find all of the armory upgrades. Let's say we wanted to change the text on Stimpak. There you go. You can just type stuff in. Wow, make the Marine take a bunch of damage. They wouldn't actually do these. This is just text, but this is how you would change armory descriptions. Let's see. What is this? Okay, so this just applies multiple upgrades. If you wanted to make it so when you research Stimpak, you get a different upgrade. You like research Stimpak inside the armory, you get a different upgrade. This is where you would pick where that upgrade is. Let's see. I'm unsure of how to change the cost of things, but it is somewhere in here. Oh, here we go. Cost. There you go. Change that to be whatever you want if you want to make upgrades cheaper. If you want to do lab stuff, lab research, here are the lab researches. Let's say you wanted to make Hive Mind Emulator a different thing. You can make it something else, a different upgrade. You can change the image, you can change the movie that plays, although you wouldn't want to, probably, because changing movies takes a billion amounts of more. Alright, changing movies isn't bad, you can select whatever you want, so what if I wanted the Hive Mind Emulator upgrade to instead play the microfiltering movie? I can do that. If you make your own videos, your file size is going to be obscenely big. This is why I didn't make up my own videos for Nightmare, partly because I'm lazy, but partly because this takes obscene amounts of file space to make new videos. How do I change text? Text, there you go. Description. This is the description for the Hive Mind Emulator. You can change it here. If you hover over the Hive Mind Emulator tip, you'll see this tooltip. You can change that here. That's how you change the text. This is where you change the name. If you wanted to rename it like Blast Barrier or Rogue Forces, this is where I changed that. So the existing videos are inside the game. If you want custom videos, you have to add new videos into the editor to download and whatnot. Which is only bad because this file format does not it's not very well compressed. This takes up a lot more room and it only reads in .ogb and 4im. Neither of these are very fun to work with. Fire Ally, this is how you edit the research stuff. These are all your lab upgrades. You can modify them here. You can rewind a little bit and see how I got to here. Yes, you can use Nightmare as a base mod. Custom effects, you're gonna have to be more specific because effects are obscenely diverse. Okay, what custom effect would you want me to do? Alright, so someone requested a grenade ability. Making a new ability is a little bit taxing because you have to deal with actors and you have to deal with sounds. What I recommend if you want to make abilities is think of abilities that are similar to what you want. So if you were thinking of grenade, maybe I would think fungal growth. It's an AoE ability, it has a missile that shoots out before it does things. So I would go to fungal growth. This has nightmare because I have nightmare dependencies. These are all the effects that make it work. You're able to figure, I have faith that people are able to understand what each of these are if you manually go through them. In terms of, well, let's just discuss fungal growth because it's not too complex. So, let's see. Fungal growth starts with launch missile. So, launch missiles, they do what you think you do. This is the little ball that shoots out. On impact, it has this set effect. Set effects are basically how you have multiple things happen at once. So this set effect probably adds a, let's see. It is the search ability, I see. Why does this, okay. Set effects don't do anything on their own, they just let you have multiple effects happen at once, basically. So this searches, so on impact it has the set effect. The set effect leads to a search. This is the AoE. It searches for units in the target area. You can see that here are filters. You can see fungal growth does not affect player, the player that casts it. Doesn't affect allies, doesn't affect neutrals, doesn't affect structures, doesn't affect hidden or invulnerable. Kind of standard stuff. And in this AoE, Radius 2, it will do growth set effect, which is both the root and the damage, I believe. They're split because, like, if you fungal an ultra, it will take damage, but it won't get rooted. So you have multiple behaviors, one that does the root, one that does the damage, and you can do things from there. What are search flags? I do not know. I have not touched these. For what I use, I don't need these. Let's see. Alright, so what other things would you guys like to see? Just like, yeah, just like stuff I can make. Alright, hold on. I said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. The best way, I feel, to learn the editor is just to mess around with stuff. I've shown you a handful of things, but like my plan for these streams, if I continue to do them, is to just make stuff and seeing how to do, like, Ryan made that one ability that one time. I'm gonna look up it, see how he did it, and maybe you can pick up something if you're not looking at specifics. Autocasts / passives. Passives are behaviors. I talked a little bit about them. You can think of something like stim. If we wanted to make stim a passive ability, we just remove the duration on this one. Hold on. If you go to duration, we set this to 0, then stim will become permanent. And you could think of it as passive, plus 15% move speed, or plus 50% move speed and attack speed. You can have multiple modifications. You could have a passive do several other things. That kind of leans more into the effects of things that I don't really want to go over, but you could have a passive ability. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and make an aura ability, because aura abilities are a little bit complex, but they don't require too much. Alright, let me go ahead and switch off of 0 hour, so I go back to my testing map. Okay, actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do an aura effect really quick. We want that one. This is our testing map. Let me just close out of the stat editor and reopen it real quick. Let me just real quick make a behavior that will apply stim to units that walk nearby. We'll use Marauder stim because that's untouched, but you could have it applied to any other effect. We have, there is an effect that applies the buff already. I can go ahead and use that. But I will need a new search effect, so I'll make a new effect that searches. Do a little bit more proper stuff. We want our stim to apply Marauder stim will apply to units within, let's say, 5. Search filters, we can have it only apply to biological, I suppose. We could have it exclude invulnerable, we can have it exclude structures. Generally, you want to exclude hidden, dead, and missile, and invulnerable, which I have up here. Those are just general applies. I recommend you don't you have it exclude missile, dead, hidden, invulnerable. We want a persistent thing. We want something to happen. Actually, you know what? I think that works. Let's go ahead and make a stim aura behavior. Any unit we attach this behavior to will have a stim aura. It will give stim to other units. Duration of 0 is fine. Periodically, effect periodic. So stim aura will occur periodically, and we will set the period to like 0.2 or something. And there are other things here. I recommend you add an icon. I recommend you add a tooltip because, you know, that's just polish. But I believe this will just work if we apply this behavior to, let's say, our supply depots. Actually, you know, let's just do our command center because we have that on the map right now. If we have that stim aura. Let me just make sure that it does search. Alright, I believe if we just go ahead and do this now, that will just make an aura. That our units will have stim when they are near the command center. Stim lasts 15 seconds, so it'll be active for 15 seconds after they leave. Marine's probably not the best one to test. There you go. So our SCV has been away, but when it comes near the command center, it will get affected by the stim aura, and our SCVs will have stim. That is how you make an aura effect. I saw someone recently wanted to make Psystorm apply to Tempest attacks. I can go ahead and do that real quick. Let's give ourselves some Tempests though. Alright, Tempest, Resonance Coil is the ground one. Alright. So, Launch Missile Ground. This is what the Tempest does. This is what its weapon does. It shoots the ball of death. We want on Impact Effect. I actually think there's a different one that I should be using, but I think Impact Effect is fine. So Impact Effect is already set to Tempest Damage Ground. Let's go ahead and add a set effect so that we can have it do multiple things when it impacts. Let's do Tempest Impact set. Alright. Quick, we want this to deal damage, so Tempest damage. we also want it to do Storm. So if we look for Storm, persistent, I believe, is the one we want. And then we change the launch missile so that on impact it does our set effect instead of just the damage. Test that out. I believe that should work pretty smoothly. Priority of a weapon, whatever's highest on the weapon list. When you look at a unit, there's a list of its weapons. Whatever's highest is what it will tend to use. Alright, so if I did my job correctly, these Tempests should storm when they have their attacks. There we go. It's beautiful. Alright, what else would you guys like to see? Let me look through the chat. Yes, AI does like to surrender, as it does. Adding a unit to an ability. Alright. Or adding an ability to a unit, that is what. Let's say we wanted our... let's do EMP. We haven't talked about the ghost. So this is the EMP ability for the ghosts. Let's see. Photo loss, why is this not showing the blue at the top instead of the gray? I can't remember how to fix it, and I don't want to look it up entirely. But for now, we can go down to cost. So EMP costs energy. Obviously, if we want to give it to a unit that doesn't have energy, we'll have to change it. So we go to the EMP ability. We go to the vitals cost. We can make it so it costs no energy. We can also make it so it has a cooldown, so it's not insane, but sure. Let's go to the Reaper, because why not? The Reapers are going to be Chungus, but that's fine. In the abilities, we can go ahead and have our Ghost EMP. That did not work. Ghost EMP. Okay. We want to add that ability. We also need to give it a button. You can just go ahead and use the EMP button because might as well. Ability command, use the EMP ability. And if we just test, our Reaper should have the ability to cast EMP on a 20-second cooldown. There we go. You will often get these things. I don't know why it's specifically EMP and Fungal that likes to do it, but these messages only show up in the editor, and they usually involve actor things, which I, again, find very scary, but there you go. Our Reapers have the EMP ability now. Let's see, what are other things we want to see? There isn't really, I mean, you can read the logs and it will say error versus something else, versus warning. Generally, it comes with experience and just knowing what the error it actually is. If you are unable to tell what the error is, I think it's okay. If it's not game breaking, I think it's alright until someone finds how it's game breaking. I did see someone ask how to do reoccurring upgrades. I can actually just, I'm going to go ahead and change the weapon for infantry. So let's say we wanted our upgrade to be researched over and over and over again. Where is max level here? Max level, there we go. So we can set this max level to be like 100, so we can research infantry weapons 100 times. We will need to change the requirement for researching infantry weapons so that we don't need to, actually, you know what, we can just get rid of it. Let's go to the engineering bay and change it so researching infantry weapons level 1 is always available, no requirement. Let me see. So, I mean, I don't want to go through the triggers to make a speed research, but if we research infantry weapons level 1, we can keep doing it. I guess I can leave this in the background, and every 2 minutes we'll have another level on infantry weapons. Yeah, so you set the maximum level, and and you change the requirement, and that's enough to make it so you can research and upgrade over and over and over again. Let me see, what else do you guys want to see? Boss bars are something I would look at Engine of Destruction and just copy what they do. These Marines are dying the storm. I haven't touched boss bars before. It wouldn't take too long for me to learn them, but I would rather not have to learn them on stream because that's stressful. Can you make a ground unit behave like an air one? Let's go to a Hydralisk. We'll go ahead and set its height to be, what, 3.75 is what units usually have. We'll have it a move, fly. From what I understand, I think that's it. I think the Hydralisks will fly. There we go, our Hydras are flying. And they will, they don't fly over this because I didn't give them the proper collision. We'll make sure that they are flying units. Flying. I don't think these other things matter. Let me just look at a Phoenix real quick to compare. Yeah. Oh yes, targeting planes also if you want them to be affected by air units. But yeah, here we go. Our Hydras can fly now. If we want them to be able to be hit by air units. Let me see. Plane array, yeah. So you change this from ground to air on the Hydralisk. And now it will be hit by air units like it's an air unit. Charges are pretty simple. Let me go ahead and think of like a Reaper Grenade. Let's say we wanted our Reaper Grenades to, instead of being ones, then we'll have it so you can throw like 5 of them. So we want it to start at 5 charges. It has 5 charges max, and it uses 1 whenever we use it. And each charge takes 5 seconds to recharge. If we go ahead and test it, then our Reaper Grenade should just do that. Alright. We have charges. We can throw down 5 grenades, and we'll get 1 back every 5 seconds or whatever I set that to. If you wanted to be like a vulture, where you have another ability that replenishes those charges, you're going to have to do a little bit of finessing. You're going to have to make your own ability that does that. I recommend you look at that vulture ability, the rebuild Spider-Man ability. Models of EMP, I can change that, I suppose. Actors are very scary, of course. Actually, let me just... EMP. Let's say we wanted our EMP... Hold on, where is... EMP impact effect? We're going to change its model. We do have to think of something that I can change it to. Or just try to change it to like a Disruptor Nova explosion. I'm sure that's in here. I believe one-shot spell Purification Nova is fine. Actually, Impact is probably what we want. So now EMP will look like it has the Disruption Purification Nova when it explodes. Or it won't. Let me see. Oh no, wait, this is not what we want. This is different. Let me see if... It might just be that. Yeah, do it for the last set. I did that just there, you saw. I typed in an ampersand, but you can do it with any character that doesn't appear, because otherwise you're gonna have to wait for the thing to lag and not work. EMP doesn't really like to be that, I assume. I could change the model instead of the actor, which probably would make more sense. So let's go ahead and reset this to what that is. And we'll change the EMP model to be Disruptor. Actually, we'll need to know what the other one is. I can just copy it over. Detonate. Going to do that. Alright, so we go to the Purification Nova Detonate model. We'll copy that and we'll plug it into the EMP. Impact. Alright, we'll see if this works. No, it doesn't work. Alright, EMP just hates me. Interesting. Alright. Actually, wait, I might be thinking of the wrong thing. Let me go to AMP again. Let's see. When do you create? Oh, you do create on that. Interesting. Alright. I will need to look into that if I were to create something new, but I'd rather not stay hung up on that all stream. Yes, I do recommend using, if you want to, I wouldn't entirely recommend, if you're going to make a mod, I wouldn't recommend modifying existing things unless you want those to be applied to everything. Like, for example, the EMP, this would apply to any EMP instance that we want, basically, or any EMP instance that exists, which might not necessarily be what you want. So you can copy paste things and make duplicates, which is helpful occasionally, and if you want to make sure there's a different version of everything. Let me go ahead and reset my chat. Wait, see? Let's see, what else would you guys like to see? Oh, actually, I did see someone who wanted a train. So let's go ahead and go to barracks train. Let's go ahead and make it so our barracks can train battle cruisers, because I can. Here we go. So we go to the barracks train. We can open up the train menu. You can see that these are the things the barracks can train. We're going to add a battle cruiser, default button. Have it be available with no requirements. 40-second build time, sure. And we'll have it make a battle cruiser. Okay. Now, we do need to add a button. So we go to our barracks. Make sure that we have a button that lets us train the battle cruiser. Barracks train, build battle cruiser. There we go. Battle cruiser's out of the barracks. They do instant build because I set that to this is what the triggers are doing. But you can see that it would take 40 seconds or 29 seconds in Legacy in real time to make the battle cruisers. So that is how you have units built from buildings they're not supposed to be built from, or how you add a train ability. If you wanted to mess around with giving units, say, I'm going to use the battle cruiser. I believe if you just give the battle cruiser the carrier weapon and the carrier ability, it should have interceptors. I will go ahead and get rid of this for right now, and we'll change it to a carrier. Interceptor launch, and we give it the ability carrier hangar, and we make it build interceptors, I suppose. Try it out. I think it will just be able to make it and attack like a carrier would. Alright, our battle cruisers are making interceptors. We go ahead and get rid of that. And they send out interceptors. You'll notice that these are stuck on this when they try to build. That is a setting that has to be changed with the unit. I'm not entirely sure where that setting is, but there is one that can be changed to do that. I would compare the battle cruiser and the carrier and look for what's different between the two. Units that transform are separate units that are separated by ability. So if we go to Viking, you can see that Viking Assault Mode and Fighter Mode are totally different units, except that they have the ability to transform between them. Morph abilities like Fighter Mode, Assault Mode, morph to Siege Tank, Sieging, and Unsieging. I find those really annoying to use occasionally. So if we're going to make a unit that morphs back and forth, work with it on this. I can't give too much. Like, I know enough about it to like, oh, I want to make this faster so I can reduce the duration on these. But that is about as much I can say for changing the morphs from unit to unit. Oh yeah, it does need a queue ability. That is true. For a carrier building. That makes sense. I did eventually have to deal with queue abilities because queue abilities are very spooky. And sometimes they change things when you would not expect them to be. But yeah, if I were to give, let's just do that real quick. Battle Cruiser. We give the Battle Cruiser the same queue ability that the carrier has. Let's see, queue hangar. Oh, it doesn't like that many queue abilities. Alright. Get rid of that. There we go. They can make units they can make interceptors while flying around now and attack like carriers. Is it simple to change the name of a unit? Yeah. Once our double click our battle cruiser, we name them Cattle Bruiser. There you go. And now they'll be called Cattle Bruisers. Is there a way to have things happen randomly? I haven't totally messed with that in the data editor, but I believe so. Let me see if we can get, like, bring Sidestorm back up. You can have random period, random effect. I don't actually know what this will do, but these are random things that can be added to here. I don't entirely know if they work because I haven't messed with them in the data editor, but there exists some randomness, and I think you would be able to do it from here. If we look at a, let's see. Actually, if we just go to the queue abilities, we can see that there's an 8-1. This is what the barracks and factories and starports use when there is a reactor attached to them. You can see there's a queue count of 2 and a queue size of 8. If you wanted to adjust a unit's filter, or hold on, let me see Reaper, I guess. Their attributes. Let's see. You can probably find it here. Where's attributes? There you go. You can make it so the Reaper is considered armored. You can make them heroic. You can make them massive, like they are. Okay, so if you want weapons to work at the same time, I would recommend looking at the Goliath attack, but because the Goliath has weapons that you can see multiple of them used at once, but I believe you change things like this. I think that is what you want. Or actually, wait, these are... I think it's just that. You get rid of Link cooldown, and I think it will use 2 weapons at once. Oh yeah, this is where the Link cooldown flag is. Pile and Power is a behavior. Power is its own separate thing. I don't entirely understand how super pylons work because it's like you have different levels of power. But yeah, this is what pylons use, power source. If it has a nexus or a warp gate nearby, this behavior is disabled, and instead fast power source gets used. So when we think about reviving units like Sentinel and Thor, actually probably not Sentinel. Sentinel is probably uses the same thing. They're a lot more complex than is fun. I don't think so like the Thor wreckage is its own unit. You would have to create a new like a Thor wreckage. The Sentinel wreckage is its own unit. The Trask Crystallis is its own unit. You have to deal with making a new unit that slowly transforms back into the original, which is not fun for me to do. But what you would have is you would have a behavior on that unit that when killed, it creates or it issues the ability to morph into that wreckage unit. Make this a buff. I think under damage response, when it takes fatal damage, you have it do this, and then this can be a morph to the wreckage unit. There are other things you have to change here. I would look at the Baneling ability to do that. I would also just look at the Thor wreckage and Sentinel wreckage and Trask wreckage. Let me see. Photos, what do you mean by healing stasis buff? If you want to look at healing abilities, you can just look at the medic and the shield. Actually, let's look at the shield battery. I think they just use a healer effect for their abilities. Yeah, okay. So, create healer effects, pretty simple. You can just say how much they drain per factor, how much energy it costs to heal 1 point of health. You can say how fast they heal, and you can have it switch, which is what the shield battery uses to switch from regular into super shield battery. I see, yeah, you could have just heal on death. That wouldn't be too bad. I could show off how to make that. Are things like blink similar to morph with range? No, teleport is its own effect. If we go to Stalker, blink. So I believe this has... For some reason I remember this being like 500 or something. But yeah. Teleport is its own effect. You can have it do that. Blink ability with its effect to be blink teleport, and blink teleport effect, you know, specify how far the range is, and you have it set to a target. Right. Modify minimum fraction for revive abilities. That is how... That's the reason when you time stop as Warzone and you go kill Banelings and the Banelings don't die is because they're being kept alive modify a behavior that makes it so they can't die. But it's a very similar thing for revival abilities. So if you wanted to make a semi-weapon ability, we can think of something like charge. Is that like charge? Yeah, you know what, let's make the Marauder shoot a Tempest Ball, because I can. So I copied charge. I'm going to make it so instead of applying the charge effect, it will shoot a Tempest missile. Oops. Let's see. We need a button for it. Let's just use Purification Nova. Use that. Alright. We might need to modify some validators. But I think it would work now. So when our Marauders attack, they should use Tempest Ball, which will also Storm, because that's how we have it set up. Oh, no, I did not remove the requirement, so forgot about that. Let's see. Is it under cost? No, it is under a command. No requirement, so I don't need a research charge in order for that to work. Let's see, what else? Let's see, what other things we want to see? It's trying to. I think it might be because... Oh, there you go. It's based on range, because there's a range validator in there. But, yeah. When the Marauders attack and they're close enough to something, they can use the ball. I'm not entirely sure how to make Command Center land closer to minerals. I'd assume it's under the footprints. Something like this. We could change this to be that, I think. And I think it would let me move it closer. I'm not entirely sure, so this is just me guessing. It is not. Maybe it just doesn't work with this 5x5. You could try something else here, though. But it is something to do with footprint, I would assume. I don't think it's under mineral and gas, but... well, this is this mineral field, I think. Yeah, that's fine, I think. I can actually test here if it lets me. Yeah, there we go. So it normally wouldn't let me move this command center this close to these minerals, but I can here. Oh, interesting. It's both. I see. What else would you guys like to see? Give me more things to mess around with. Custom resource, I'm honestly unsure exactly how I would do. I know you're able to make things cost custom resource if you go to this, I believe. Cost has that here. You can do that. I have not touched custom resources before. I know they exist for sure, but that's about all I've seen is through data editor. You can make a unit or an ability, require a custom resource to use. What do you need in order for, let's see. So, the way liftoff works, let me see, let me bring up the factory, is they're separate. It's very similar to a Viking, where the ground factory and the flying factory are totally different units, and they're separated by launching liftoff and land abilities. So, in order to have a flying planetary, you would have to create a new unit, which I don't want to have to deal with right now because creating units is a little annoying. But you would have to create a new unit, you'd have to deal with all the animations and stuff for it, and you'd have to create a morph ability to jump between them. I would recommend messing with factory or other buildings, liftoff and land, but I really don't like having to deal with morph abilities and their animations, because those can usually come up with a myriad of annoying bugs and stuff that I don't entirely understand. If I wanted to make a factory look like a starport while it's lifting off. So the way it works is the factory in its grounded and flying state are controlled by the same actor. That's how it transitions between one and the other. I could do something. Whoops. Let's say I wanted our factory to look like a starport while it's flying. So you can see this is an effects part of actors. This is why you don't touch actors when you can avoid it, because it sucks. But let's say we have our factory that we can just copy one of these. Ability morph. Start. And we can do morph from factory. Oh wait, this needs to be a conditional, huh? Morph from the factory, and it morphs to a flying factory. We can have it model swap to a starport. Oh, more annoying waiting. Other flying, I think they can just do starport regular. And you would obviously want to do it the reverse in order to make it so they turn back into factories when they land, but there we go. Factory looks like it's starport when we lift it off. Let's see, what else would you guys like to see? Oh yeah, it's quote unquote easy if you are switching between things that have similar animations. I remember there was a point where I wanted a leap for Brack, and the Ursa leap ability happened to have happened to call it, so it made Brack use a leap animation. But it is, if you don't have the pre-existing animations there, where it just works out, you have to code them in yourself, and that's a bit not fun. Yeah, if you let's see, you go to a factory and we want it to, when a build morph starts and it is a morph. Nope. If we go from flying factory to a landed factory, you can model swap back, I believe, and that will just work. Actors are very annoying and not my strong suit, so if this doesn't work, I don't think I can help you if you deal with something stupid like this, but hopefully it just works. There we go. And obviously the starport isn't a factory, so it doesn't have to deal with that. Are jumping tanks just blink with a different animation? I don't think so. I think they deal with missiles, launching them to a different location. Missiles are also not very fun to deal with because you have to deal with movers, and you have to define arcs, like how high do they jump, how far do they jump, and stuff like that. But I believe that it uses a missile, not just a teleport. If you wanted to mess around with that, I think the Hunter Baneling uses launch missile to launch itself at the target location. So you could tie that, instead of being an attack ability, you could have that be a regular ability that does the same effect. So you could jump your tanks around. How do you merge the abilities of different units onto one card? This is something I learned recently, and by learned I mean someone told me you can do it, and I am not entirely sure if this will work, but I believe what you want to do is you have a, let's say we wanted our Reaper's grenades and KD8 charge, right? Yeah. Reaper grenades to be usable when we have Marines and Reapers selected. Let's see, is it reciprocate charge? You would use this basically. I don't know exactly the name of what I'm looking for. And it might be, it's probably that you have to, I don't think these are all abilities, but let's actually pick one from here. Yeah, we'll do personal cloaking. I'll change this to cloaking. Cloak. So you would, this is on the Marine. So our Marine doesn't actually have the cloak ability, but if we have Marines and Ghosts on the same hotkey, or same selection, I believe we would be able to cloak our Ghosts without having to tab over to them, if we happen to be looking at the Marine. There we go, see? We can use stim and we can cloak our Ghosts without having to tab between them. That's kind of how Tychus Heroes work, but it kind of sucks because you have to have you need to set up the buttons for all 9 outlaws onto Z and then all 9 outlaws onto X. But yes, that is how they work. Let's see. Freeze, do you have this view? I know Violet sometimes uses this view. This view, I'm not used to it, but it does let you flip through things slightly faster than the way I do. This is just like, I can't use the search bar, which makes this less fun for me to use, but it is what it is. I do want to say thank you to everyone for coming here. I didn't really have a planned duration for this stream. I could theoretically keep going. But obviously thank you all for coming around here and watching me use the editor. It is... I want to be able to make the editor seem... Oh, I liken it to like watching a pro FTL player on stream. You don't understand everything they're doing, but if you watch enough of it, you kind of pick up on some common things, and just watching them do like actual work is how you pick up on how you can start doing those actual work without having to follow a step-by-step tutorial. Even though I do think that the step-by-step tutorials can be helpful if you like get stuck is like, I want this unit, I want to make a custom unit. I think a tutorial would be helpful for that, but modifying existing stuff, I think watching someone else do it is very helpful. I did think about making the FTL races in StarCraft, but FTL is very spooky. It would be very ambitious to try to recreate it. Let me see. Okay. I'm gonna think about what we can do with triggers, because I've touched mostly on data right now. Triggers I haven't touched on like at all. And if you're making a modded campaign, I think usually you'd want to avoid triggers. I think most people would want to avoid triggers because, you know, they're most interested in making the fun units, like making Reapers that are super fat and making it so you can build Predators at the start of the campaign and things like that. I suppose I could make it so. I can explain regions, I suppose. Regions are, you can pop down things and things happen in this region. You can define what they are via triggers, but regions are super versatile, and you can use them like tripwires. So when your unit enters a region, you can have the mission win. That's how mission, like go to this point missions work. You could have them envelop an enemy base. You could have it so when the enemy base is destroyed, there's no structures, then it will end in a mission win. That's how usually win the mission via destroying enemy bases tends to work. Though they usually tend to look for the entire map, because the map is the default region. You can search for the entire map. Can you make new unit attributes? I believe so. I haven't tried doing it myself. Hold on, let me get out of detailed view. I think what Orca did was he renamed these somehow. I don't think because for real scale HOTS, he added a capital ship attribute, I believe. So he used one of these, and then he renamed this attribute to capital ship. I think it's way more complicated if you want to actually add another one. And I'm not sure how he did it. I'd assume you have to do with other stuff here that I don't know about. Oh, okay. Real quick for regions. Yes, they do come in circles. You can have them square-shaped. You can have them diamond-shaped as well. But a quick tip if you want to do... let's say you had like a base that is weirdly like U-shaped. Like let's say you had something like that. You can combine these regions. So if you select all of them using shift-click, you can do edit, merge selection, and now these are all the same region. So this can be, let's say you wanted to call this enemy base. There you go. Now it will, if you wanted to look for enemy structures that are alive in enemy base, it will combine these regions together, which is really useful. Can regions grow or move? I don't think you can. I think you would need to manually designate, like, oh, let's say I wanted my enemy base to be bigger. I could have it switch from looking at these guys to looking at this big region. Oh, okay, hold on. You can definitely have them move. You're able to, let's see. I can think of a point, actually. Let's say you had a region over here that you wanted to move to where this point was. You can just do that with the trigger. There you go. You can say move region 1 to be centered around point 1. There you go. That's how you would move a region. How do you find the thing that makes units deal bonus damage? Alright, let's go to the data. Let's go to Marauder. So, damage is inside the effect tab, so we look for the Marauder damage. So, there we go. Marauder does 10 damage, and then attribute bonus against armored, it does 10 more. This is how you would manipulate that. So if we wanted it to do 20 damage to biological, or to do 20 more damage to biological instead of to armored, that's how we would do that. So when the Marauder hits something, it will deal 10, and then plus, it will deal 30 versus biological. Is the attack move when units enter a region similar to the Warcraft V editor? I don't know the Warcraft V editor, so I can't say it is, but I could have something like that. Let me just set that up really quick. Let's say we have player 2 with a bunch of army inside this enemy base region. Let me just really quickly make a trigger that makes it so when we enter that region, the AI will attack us. Any unit enters the enemy base region. We only want it to work when we enter, so triggering unit will refer to the unit that enters the region. Owner of triggering unit is player 1. let's go ahead and make it so all of the Marines inside that group will try to attack us. So the way you order units around, like multiple units at once, uses unit groups. So right here, I'm basically making it so all of the units that are inside the enemy base, make this so all Marines, so we can differentiate. Make it so all the Marines inside the enemy base, owned by player 2, with the most any, will attack targeting point, attack targeting position of triggering unit. So we have a bunch of Marines. I can throw down Marauders to show that these Marauders won't get pulled because we had it searched specifically for Marines. And we can have Marines down here that are outside the base, so they would be like, they won't be pulled. They'll just pull the Marines from inside that base. So we start attacking the base, and then see all the Marines from down there started to attack us. We have Storm Tempests, so obviously these aren't very scary. This is for the attack wave. But see, we have Marines down here that were outside the base, and they did not get pulled by that region. That's how you pretty quickly make an enemy base attack you when you step onto their turf. How do you tell enemy units to rebuild? Let's see, I believe it's as simple as selecting these units in the editor. You do AI. This is how many times they will rebuild a unit. So let's say they want this barracks to always be rebuilt. If you're changing the campaign, this would just be casual, normal, brutal. Or casual, normal, hard, brutal. So we want the AI to constantly rebuild that. You need a supply depot in order to build a barracks, so we'll give them supply depots. And they have SCVs to use for that. I think they will use. I believe it's as simple as that. You go and kill them, and if I go and kill that barracks, they will try to rebuild it. If they have the money, which I don't remember if I gave them. So actually, I think I did, because I have to make 3 Marines somehow. I don't want to kill these SCVs. These Tempests need to go away or else I'll destroy everything. Give me an army. Maybe I shouldn't have picked Terran because we'll just repair all this, but kill that, or run away, and then I believe eventually they will start to rebuild it. I might need to change some settings in the triggers, but if you're modifying a campaign map, I think that's all you need to do. There we go. They want to rebuild that barracks. Will they remake SCVs? Yes, you can. You have to do the same thing for your units. So let's say we wanted these SCVs to always be rebuilt. We select them all, and we make them rebuild count forever. Like that, etc. Yeah, you are able to do, let's say, this is a pretty common thing that campaigns do. Let's say we wanted to make it so when you destroy the command center of this base, then they stop rebuilding units. Pretty simply, you can do deactivate bullies inside enemy base region for player 2. And we want this to happen when unit dies. When this command center is destroyed, they will stop rebuilding. This is how you would make it so, you know, the enemies stop rebuilding once you've completely cleared an area. All right. So yeah, if I did not give them supply depots, the AI is not smart enough to realize I need a supply depot to make a barracks. They will not do that. So you need to. What the campaign usually does is they put like a supply depot and a barracks and a factory and an armory off into the corner, and it hides them. And that so the AI has all the tech requirements they need to always be able to rebuild stuff. The reinforcement thingy, the thingy I just did, we call that bully, where they have it rebuild. They will try to rebuild into the same spot that the unit was placed in. So let's say if I had like a zealot here that they wanted to rebuild forever, if I kited him all the way over here and killed him here, they would rebuild the zealot here. Yeah, you can turn off tech requirements for player 2 if you wanted to make it so they ignore tech, but you have to deal with some other stuff. Yeah, you could get away with just disabling tech requirements and the triggers. Oh yeah, so like we started over here, like we gave ourselves money, we can also change instead of money, we can make it so we have made 5,000 supplies, so we don't need to make depots anymore. We can also make it so supply limit is 5,000, so we're not limited to 200 anymore. You can mess with stuff like that. I think campaign AIs usually have this set to higher numbers. I certainly know that on All In that they have like 600 supply or something like that, but or maybe it's set to some number that I can't remember. Variables are fun. I say fun, but they're very, very helpful. Let me see what kind of things we want. All right, let's say we wanted to create a unit that was very important. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and put this region over here. So let's say when our unit enters that region, we make that unit important. How do we make it important? We make it bigger. And then we'll have another thing that calls that variable. Triggering unit. We'll set that scale to like 200%. Okay. So to create a variable, variables are new variable. We'll make this super unit. I know. So variables are basically ways for you to recall information from other triggers. It allows you to make new information in-game and call it in-game, basically. So let's go ahead and have our super unit as a variable type of unit. So when any unit enters that region, we'll make them big. We'll also assign super unit to refer to that unit. Triggering unit. So set super unit to be that triggering unit. So now we need a way to tell that our unit is the super special. So let's say super unit dies. Right? Unit dies. Instead of any unit dying, we want it to be when our super unit dies. We can just do text message. Actually, you know what? We'll do more realistic. Let's say you wanted to make it so when the superhero dies, then you lose money. Set player property. Let's modify player property. Let's say you will lose 200 minerals when this unit dies. Okay. So, we have a unit that enters the region. He becomes the super unit. So it's worth noting that if we kill our other units, nothing happens. But if the super unit dies, we lose money. That is how you would set up variables. So this effect can apply to any unit that you've crowned a super unit. So if we were to do the same thing, but we wanted the SCV to be the super unit, we can make the SCV our super important unit, and when he dies, then we will lose our money. Also worth noting, we have a bunch of supply. That is how the modified player supply works. How to change requirements. You can go back to the data for that. Let's see. Let's say we wanted our Thors. Well, let's see. Okay, let's say if we wanted our factories to train a Thor, but instead of requiring a tech lab and a armory, we have it require a fusion core. I don't know. Oh wait, this is, let's see. Maybe it requires starport. So if we have a starport, we'll be able to make Thors. That is how you would change the requirements for building a unit. It's for training a unit is very, very similar for building a unit like a structure. Yeah, see, since we have a starport, we can build a Thor. If the starport were to die, we would lose the ability to make the Thor, and it would say requires starport. There you go. Yeah, you can make a variable about just about anything. You can set it to be a unit group. You can set it to be a location. So like you say, maybe I wanted the location to be a different one. I can set it to be a different region, and it says have it be, you know, might as well just do that. New variable, let's say super unit region. Alright, so we'll set the default to this region. But when we lose a super unit, actually when we knight a unit, let's do it from there. We can set variable. We can change our super unit region to a different region. Can have the one there. And we have it so our super unit region, instead of entering region 2, we can have it look for a variable. Why is that not there? Huh. Well, I can set this to be any region and instead do alright. Wow. Alright, well, I'm not entirely sure why this is set to be, it won't let me use variables here, but that is something I could do with a point, I believe. Having data that persists between missions is using bank files. I don't think I'm adequately knowledgeable to describe how that would work, but let's say when their command center is destroyed, you could store something, an integer that says like base is destroyed true inside of bank data. And then on the next map, you would load the bank and say if base destroyed equals true, then don't spawn the base or something. That is how you would do that. I do not have enough understanding to walk you through how to do that immediately right now. Can you make like specific amount of units to attack? What do you mean by that? Attack wave trigger I have up here. I could change this to be a different number. I did that a little bit earlier in the stream. Let me see, what other things can I mess with? Give me more ideas. Window pop-ups are a little bit, okay, I can definitely do that, but it is a lot of busy work. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'll need to create a variable. Oops. New variable, which we'll call the pop-up. So these are what's called dialogues and dialogue items. So let's go ahead and make it so. I'm going to make a new trigger actually. And then we have it run from here. So at the start of the map, it will run this trigger. What this trigger will do, it will create a dialogue. Dialogues are what the pop-ups are called. I think these are okay. Actually, we'll move it to the right side of the screen. You can change the size and the location of these. Let's go ahead and have it be set the variable. We'll set our pop-up dialog to refer to the one that we just made. Last created dialog. We'll also create some things to have on there. Let's make a button. Oops, create dialog item button. We'll make a button on there. Let's just make a simple close button. And we'll make it to the top right because that's where the X's are. So this will create a button in the top right with this dimensions, this offset. We'll also set a variable for that because if we want to use that button, we need to look for when that button is used. Up button, which is a dialog item. And very similarly, we set this pop-up button to refer to the button we just made. Last create a dialog item. Let's go ahead and make a trigger real quick. That's close pop-up. Whenever a dialog item is used, add a condition. Use dialog item has our pop-up button. Hide dialog. Hide our pop-up dialog. I might need to do show because otherwise it might not show up, but I believe we'll have a pop-up window that will pop up at the start of the game, and then we can press close to close it. There we go. You can add text on there, you can add images and stuff on there, but that is how you would do a little menu thing. Alright, I have been streaming almost 3 hours. I think I'll go ahead and end it kind of soon. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you especially to Photoloss for knowing more than I do about the editor. But I hope I can do these kind of things. Let me know how to make this better. because I have never streamed before. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I would like to help other people learn the editor more. And I think this is an okay way to do it. To just make stuff, make their suggestions, and say, here's how you do these kind of things. Alright, let me go ahead and switch to this. Alright, thanks again. Hopefully we'll see you guys around and maybe again.